Geronimo.avi. I'm about to watch day. Hello, my relatives. Today's a good day. I'm opening this special up with Gary Foley's photograph taken in Australia in the 1970s. Early 70s, like 70 or 71. He was a great, and it still is, a great hero. He teaches Aborigine history to Aboriginal students. Practically the only one in the country of Australia that does that. It's a total curriculum. That's what we need here in this country. But isn't that classic? It's just classic. I love it. It's been made into billboards and big signs. It is classic in Australia. And this is part of the reason, and it explains the reason, what I'm going to talk about now. I want to read you something from the New York Times. I mean, anyone that's astute has already read this or they know about it. But I want as many people as possible in the world to know about it. This is from the New York Times. In part, on Sunday afternoon, as the helicopters raced over Pakistani territory, the president and his advisors gathered in the Situation Room of the White House to monitor the operation as it unfolded. Much of the time was spent in silence. Mr. Obama looked stone-faced, one aide said. Vice President Joseph R. Biden, Jr. fingered his rosary beads. The minutes passed like days, recalled John O'Brien, the White House counterterrorism chief. The code name for bin Laden was Geronimo. The president and his advisors watched Leon E. Panetta, the CIA director, on a video screen, narrating his agency's headquarters across the Potomac River what was happening in faraway Pakistan. They've reached the target, he said. Minutes passed. We have a visual on Geronimo, he said. A few minutes later, Geronimo, EKIA, enemy killed in action. There was silence in the Situation Room. Finally, the president spoke up. We got him. Geronimo, huh? Probably went in with Apache helicopters, don't you think? She shot him with Seminole AK-47s or whatever they call them, using, of course, Cherokee bullets. And you know, all you servicemen know, and you servicewomen that are over in Iraq, when you go out on your mission, or you go out on your duty into Indian country, that's what it's called, Indian country. And now, for all of you other people to know, the official hat of the entire army is a knockoff, it's the exact replica, actually, of the cavalry hats of the 1800s. They're still fighting the Indian Wars, and now they're calling, the military, are calling their targets by Indian, our patriots, the ones who fought for our people, protecting our women and children. They're calling the Arabs Indians. It just backs up what I've been saying all along. The Arabs are the Indians of today, and we are the Palestinians of America. It never stops. What is this? This purposefully to build in hatred for me and my people in an entire hemisphere, half the world. What is it? Why this institutionalized racism? Here's another thing. The Eighth Circuit rejects challenge to federal prosecution based on the 1868 Fort Laramie Treaty. That's my treaty, backed up by Article 6 of the United States Constitution. Argument that the government's failure to comply with the provisions of the Fort Laramie Treaty deprived the District Court of Criminal Jurisdiction, rejected. There was an Oglala Lakota man charged with a narcotics violation, and he used the treaty to state that they didn't have jurisdiction over it in this instance, in this specific case. But it was rejected. His treaty defense was rejected. Even if, this is the Eighth Circuit, Articles 1 and 5 of the treaty could reasonably be construed as establishing a jurisdictional requirement at the time the treaty was executed, Congress's subsequent grant of citizenship to the Indians made them subject to all restrictions to which any citizen is subject, and is evidence of a clear indication to abrogate any contrary treaty provisions. You see, the courts in this country, and I can go on and on using my own cases, but I'll use this specific case to give you a lesson on how racist the federal court system is against Indian people. These people didn't even read the Citizenship Act, these justices of the Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals. They didn't even read the Citizenship. It clearly states in the first or second sentence, I believe, that it is, this Citizenship Act is not construed to violate any of the existing treaties. That's what it states, but they didn't even read it. And they just assume, these are justices, allegedly. They assume that it said that it eradicated the treaty protections. Besides, it's against international law and U.S. law to abrogate any treaty without notification and reasons why. And the Citizenship Act certainly doesn't. And you know why I know? Because I'm fighting the IRS, and that's part of my defense, along with my treaties. But I utilize the strength of the Citizenship Act. That's another example. Now, I don't know if any of you saw my Welcome to the Reservation video that's on prisonplanet.com. And it's on YouTube also. And I want to maintain that's what America has become. Welcome to the res. You know, I'm 72 winters old. Again, I'm telling you. And the fact that I've lived long enough to understand what this country was all about in the 1940s, in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, 80s, 90s, the new millennium. I've lived through it all. And I've lived through the time when the white male had total control of this country, had total control of the unions, had total control of the politics, had total control of everything, locally. So therefore, because they were so confident, they knew exactly how their daughters and their wives would vote, because they voted the same way as the patriarch voted. back in those days. So you had a libertarian society in America. The blacks are over here in their neighborhoods, their ghettos. The Mexicans are in the barrios, and the Indians were on the reservations. Everybody was in their place. The woman was subservient and exploited and brutalized and raped continuously, much more blatantly than it is today. Now, because they've convinced so many of the women to become killers in the armed forces. Unbelievable. Now, there are many reasons, you know, your land, the country's land policies, the health policies, the education policies, you know, they're all bred and born on Indian reservations, exported to the world and put on the backs of you all American citizens. And here's more proof. And this is from truthout.org. News in brief. Income inequality worse in the U.S. than in the Ivory Coast of Africa, Pakistan, and Ethiopia. And there's more. Income equality worse in U.S. than Ivory Coast, Pakistan, and Ethiopia. By Nadia Prupis of Truth Out. Think Progress reports that income inequality in the United States equals that of Uganda and is worse than in countries like Pakistan, Ethiopia, and the Ivory Coast. Statistics from the CIA Fact Book, the CIA Fact Book, show that income inequality is also higher in the U.S. today than at any other time since the Great Depression. Meanwhile, the American Human Development Index recently reported that partially due to income inequality and the decline of unionization in America, there is a decline of unionization in America. There is now a 30-year gap in life expectancy between the Deep South and New England. Hello? Hello? America has become, in my short lifetime, less than a third world country. You know, statistics, quality of life, you can't hide that. Now, all of you who are duped by America, honest, even you right to lifers, even you women's rights people, even you Tea Party people, even you alleged Demopublicans, even you alleged liberals, commies, right-wingers, everybody, all of you. You know, if your diet hasn't eclipsed certain key brain cells, and your lack of education hasn't warped your ability to critically think about matters, you know, statistics don't lie and quality of life doesn't lie. This is a police state. You know it and I know it. And while you're allowing, some of you, look in the mirror. While you're allowing the Orwellian leaders to lead you on these paths, these false paths of concern, and keep you away, a distance away from your Constitution. So you don't think about the Constitution. You've never been educated about it anyway. So they can easily lead you away from the provisions of the Constitution that guarantee you all of the rights of a free society. They've even warped that. They've warped and misused the name of free. The free. It's called free trade. It's not free trade. It might be free for the corporations, but that's it. Now, the latest spectacle of mob think, of mob brainwashing. Let's look at the military now. For reasons allegedly of Pakistani sovereignty was the whole reason for the use of drones in Pakistan. Thereby, American troops are not invading the sovereignty and putting boots on the ground. Okay? That's very important, because that's been in all the literature of the use of drones and military strategy in Pakistan. It's been written up in countless news organizations around the world, and I've heard it even said on Fox. Don't confuse me. I didn't mean Fox as a news organization, but that entertainment thing they do. At any rate, excuse me. What I'm saying is the drones. All right, they're going to Pakistan. Very safe. There are no pilots that are endangered. There's no human cargo that's endangered. And they go in and they take out men, women, and children and old people. Yeah, and call them militants. Or maybe in some cases they might be. They might be patriots in their own country. You know? Start looking at the world as a human family, and not as what violence creates revenge. Look at 9/11. And they had this scapegoat who they never indicted, bin Laden. Ask yourselves about that. The rule of law. Ask yourselves about that, but that's beside the point. So if you believe that the cowboys got mounted up and went riding off on a secret mission, like in Hollywood, and invaded a compound, like in Hollywood, and got away unscathed, like in Hollywood, and then dispensed with the evidence, unlike Hollywood, now let's think about it. They take 2 helicopters in. One is disabled by whatever force. Okay? One is disabled by whatever force. So, but everybody survives, and they all get in the other helicopter. In the meantime, they've eliminated everyone in there, in that compound. At least 3 of them that we've seen pictures released by the French or English press, another European press. Those bloody mess that they showed, those pictures. And then, of course, they blew away the head of Osama bin Laden. So gruesome. They don't mind showing his lieutenants who are also Islamic, thereby, to the world, that mess. And so it enrages Islamic people. So they take him out to sea. Do you realize how far the sea is from Abbotsville? Do you realize how far it is from that point? That's in the northeastern part of Pakistan, nearer India than it is to any ocean. And then they throw the body over, so it can never be recorded, never be exhumed, never proven. I don't know what world y'all live in. And then I see these giddy, partying college students interviewed on TV, and they're saying, we got him, the war's over. That kind of simplification bespeaks of people who are incapable of critical thought. So, honest, think about it. I mean, this is how they go in. Now they have what are called bunker busters that they used in the mountains when they were allegedly going after Al-Qaeda, back when they invaded Afghanistan 9 years, almost 10 years ago. Those are miniature, minute nuclear weapons. How come they didn't go into that? They weren't risking any American lives. That would have been an embarrassment if Americans got killed on a military operation, which is illegal according to international law. Where's that at in the news media? Where's that at? Pakistan is as intertwined with this as the United States of America, believe me. But to the world, you don't know that because of the news media. All you have to do is think. They have drones. The drones would take them out. Or what better than this? Surround the place with tanks, with anything, with everything. Have your Apache helicopters hovering overhead, and you surround them, and you get them alive and take them to court. Military tribunal, or Guantanamo, whatever. The point is, it could have been, all of these scenarios could be done instead of the John Wayne cowboy style. BS. BS. Think of the scenarios they could have done and not endangered one American life and respected the sovereignty of Pakistani soil. Man. I'm sorry, people. I'm asking you to think, please. Dok Shake.